was clicking for the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron's groin strain expected to miss at least 1 to 2 weeks, considering he's had this once before, one of the only 2 times he's ever really missed real time in his whole career. And perhaps a conservative play considering his age, but the time needed to get up to speed with Luka and how title contention became such an immediate reality this past month. Clinton, buy or sell LeBron's looming absence is a big deal.
It's definitely a big deal. It's a big deal from the standpoint of who they are as a squad, even though they look very good. But I also think there's a little bit of a silver lining to this. The man is still 40 years old. He could probably, frankly, just plain use the time off. Whether it's an injury that's going to keep him out of the playoffs or not, I do think this team has figured something out. And also, this is what you have Luka for. That guy can fill it up. Everybody else is going to have to be good anyways. Gives LeBron some time.
And in the standings, they made it up and currently are the 2 seed in the Western Conference. The drop that could come over the next 2 weeks, big deal or little deal, Clinton?
I think that is, in fact, probably a bigger deal. But at some point, you're going to have to play the basketball games anyway. It's not like these guys are blowing people away left and right. They're going to have to get through a lot of teams that are just as good as they are, if not just a little bit.
Courtney Cronin around the one of you.
Either way.
Yeah, I'm concerned about it because he's 40 years old and it is a soft tissue injury. The 1 to 2 week timetable is a timetable. Who knows if he has any setbacks? I know he didn't really kind of downplayed it yesterday, but it still is an injury that bears some concern. He is the one who talked about the strength of schedule when he posted it on his Instagram of this is the hardest strength of schedule in the NBA, and now the team's going to have to fare without him the next couple of weeks. They're 53-73 in his time with the Lakers when he's been off the floor, so there is some precedent here, but like Clinton said, Luka Doncic, time to answer the call here. This is why they brought you in. The passing of the baton's already happened. Now you can make sure that this is your team and keep your team afloat. They won't be the 2 seed when LeBron returns. They probably fall to 4, and I think they'll be okay.
Justin Sinsley?
Yeah, the number that sticks out to me is plus 19. Excuse me. That's the Lakers' net efficiency with Luka on the floor without LeBron. So if they can maintain their defensive identity, I think they'll be just fine. If you're the Lakers and you look at this 8-game slate, if they can go 5-3 without LeBron while playing this hellacious schedule, I think that's a win.
5-3 you're giving them. We just heard the stat. Yeah. They're under 500 when LeBron doesn't play.
Yeah, but they got Luka now.
Kevin Clark around the horn to you.
Los Angeles should be very concerned. I'll check with Clinton after his Browns take whether or not Los Angeles likes basketball or not. But for me, I'm looking at the standings and I'm seeing a 5-game cushion on the play-in spots. That is not enough to be without LeBron James for a long time. For me, hilariously, this is a Nico Harrison legacy game. This is going to come down to whether or not Luka Doncic is in shape, can play defense, can be a leader, can be the absolute king of a franchise for the next 2 weeks.
Well, you just invoked the play-in territory. That's 2 to 7. That would be a sizable.
Hardest schedule in the league for the rest of the way.
Buy or sell
Worth
2.
noting.
Thunder Nuggets. 2 games in 2 days, both in OKC. How about that for scheduling? It's like a mini-series last night. Thunder winning 127-103. Courtney, what are we learning in this mini-series, you think?
The gap between where the Thunder are and everybody else, like where the 2 seed is right now, it's 12 games. And I don't think that that's going to be closing anytime soon. And what we're learning with this OKC team is what we say every time we come on here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP. And now the Oklahoma City Thunder, unlike the Denver Nuggets, can afford to rest SGA because they have Jalen Williams, who can be your one option. They can go 5 deep on the bench. This team continues to show us they are the most complete team in the Western Conference. And that is my biggest takeaway from
Justin Tinsley.
Yeah, it's just continuing to show SGA is the MVP. No one plays at a pace like him. It's like watching a jazz artist at work. It's so beautiful to watch him play. The dude has more 20, 30, 40, and 50-point games than anybody else in the league this year. Give him the MVP.
Okay.
No
I mean, on Friday
Joker.
night, Jokic's stat line was one like we've never seen before is 2. And that was jazz on a different level, maybe acid. Kevin Clark, how about you?
Here's a stat line, Tony Reali. 4 players in history have won a scoring title on a team with an 800 or better winning percentage, as SGA will probably do. They are Curry, Shaq, MJ, Kareem. That's rarefied air. He's your MVP.
Glenn Yates.
Yeah, Shai is going to get MVP because that team is better. But I'm sorry, Tone. 30, 20, 20, triple doubles in 2 separate halves. Joker is in this. I will be telling my proverbial grandchild about this guy. It is unbelievable what he does. I understand the MVP award will go to somebody else, but this guy is a marvel on every level.
Glenn Yates, Justin Tinsley, thank you for your time. We got a showdown coming up. Cronin and Clark coming in a march like a lion. Free agency day. Sam Darnold going one way to Seattle. Geno Smith going another way to Vegas. Justin Fields on his way to the Jets. And Aaron Rodgers is like, hey, what do you want from me? Let's go around the horn.
The Cowboys
Very good fellers here, Tony.
Every
You were wondering.
day is good
A
fella.
long snap.
All right, stay with me, people. A fluid situation. NFL news of the moment. Sam Darnold to the Seattle Seahawks. 3 years, $100.5 million, $55 million guaranteed. He's filling the spot. Just opened up this weekend with Seattle's trade of Geno Smith to the Vegas Raiders. Darnold Seahawks, Smith Raiders. Vikings now J.J. McCarthy's team. We know that. But wait, there's more musical QB chairs. Justin Fields today. Not sticking with the Steelers, he's moving to the Jets. 2 years, $40 million, $30 guaranteed. So let me ask it to you this way, Kevin Clark. Who's best off right now? And all these moving parts.
Of the teams that got new quarterbacks in the last couple of days, I guess it's the Raiders. To quote Homer Simpson, the 2 greatest words in the English language are default. And of these quarterbacks, Geno Smith is the best one, so they win by default. If you're expanding that, the Vikings, I think, won all of these transactions because they didn't have the stupid bridge quarterback contract people were talking about. Keep Sam Darnold, keep J.J. McCarthy on the bench. They didn't do that. They didn't get bullied into that by some people in the middle of last season who thought they should be able to do that. For me, I think the Raiders get instant credibility here with Geno Smith. As I said, he is a really good quarterback with a coach who's over 70. Not a lot of long-term building happening right there. I think it's a great move. The Seahawks, I don't really know what the plan is. You're going to put Sam Darnold, who's a worse version of Geno Smith, behind a bad offensive line. You don't have DK Metcalf there. I just would have hit the hard reset button. I don't love this for Seattle.
Courtney Cronin, around the horn to you.
I actually am okay with it for Seattle because I was trying to figure out initially what they were doing. Are you hitting the full reset button or are you trying to retool behind the scenes to find fits that are better for Clint Kubiak's offense? And very clearly, that's what they're doing with Sam Darnold. He was in a similar system in Minnesota under Kevin O'Connell for one season. He was with Clint Kubiak in San Francisco in 2023. He's better when he's in a rhythm and timing offense where he doesn't have to think too much in the pocket. But this is a team that when you think about where they were last year, they were 10-7. They were right there on the cusp of the playoffs. And then all of a sudden they decide to trade away a bunch of important players to the success of that team. I have a hard time figuring out until April. We won't be able to really tell where they are, but at least right now they got a quarterback who's 27 years old, 7 years younger than Geno Smith, a better fit for what Clint Kubiak wants to do now and in the future. And it gives them a chance with a third-round draft pick that they got in that Geno Smith trade to continue to build in 2025.
Clinton Yates, musical chairs at the QB position. What jumps out to you?
Honestly, I love this for the Raiders. I like the idea of getting the band back together with Pete Carroll. I mean, Geno was a Pro Bowler twice under him, and they're in that sort of win now, I guess, sort of mode. And on top of that, their draft situation is tremendous. They've got a top 10 pick. They've also got a high second-round pick, which means they can add to this right now. As for these other things, I don't think much has changed. Musical chairs is exactly what it is, a different person in a different seat, while the team hasn't gotten that much better. For the Raiders, this is exciting, and it's a good blend of experience and what they can do for the draft. I love this a lot for Las Vegas.
Justin Tinsley, around the horn to you.
Hey, Clinton, do me a favor, brother. After this, go check on Mina Kimes because I'm worried about her. That was a rough weekend for her.
So you
but
think
honestly,
Sam Darnold, a 14-win quarterback this year, is a good addition for Seattle as well?
I don't like you trading one of your best wide receivers and a really good quarterback in Geno Smith. Which is why, count me in on the Geno Smith bandwagon for this answer as well. Look, the Raiders just got a really good quarterback. I'm not saying he's a superstar quarterback, but since 2022, he's fourth in the league in completion percentage, and he's top 8 in yards per game and passing touchdowns. And here's another interesting factor about this trade. I think Geno Smith is really going to like playing with Brock Bowers, who I think has a chance to become the best tight end in football very, very quickly. So I really like this move, reuniting with Pete Carroll. I think it works for Geno Smith in a lot of different ways.
A little bit more on the Sam Darnold move to Seattle, Kevin Clark, because he was spotlighted as the #1 free agent mover this offseason, and now that it's official, how do you see that?
First of all, Courtney Cronin, stop talking about Sam Darnold's age. I saw Twitter doing this too. Oh, he's younger than Joe Burrow. He's younger than Josh Allen. If you want to sign a young guy, my 2-year-old toddler, Teddy Clark, is available. He knows how to hold a football. This is not about age. He is not as good as those guys, and he's not going to become as good as those guys. I really like Sam Darnold as a developmental story, but a lot of that has to do with Kevin O'Connell's ability to build up quarterbacks. Justin Jefferson, that offense. To me, Sam Darnold is a product of Minnesota, and it will not have the same success in Seattle.
You know, you had me taking a point away when you invoked Teddy's name. I don't mean to do that for Teddy. What does he call football? Hut? That's what he calls it?
Hut. He calls it a hut.
More hut news. Steelers seeing Justin Fields go leaves a seat open there in Pittsburgh, and there are some signs pointing to Aaron Rodgers there. The trade of DK Metcalf this weekend shows how Pittsburgh's playing part of their hand, but Courtney, would Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh make sense?
It does, and you got to give the Steelers credit for going away from their modus operandi here. They're trying to transform themselves overnight, and they did that by trading for DK Metcalf, although it's not going to be warm in Pittsburgh. He got half of what he wanted with that big bag. But this is a good destination for Aaron Rodgers because the quarterback market for veterans was drying up. And for a team that has been a perennial contender with far less at quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, you add him to the mix, even though at 41 years old, he's still coming off a pretty decent season for himself, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He now has DK Metcalf, Pat Freiermuth, George Pickens to throw the ball to. This offense got an instant upgrade when it made those moves and will be upgrading at quarterback pretty soon here in the near future, considering Justin Fields just walked out.
Lynn Yates, is that how you see it?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think it's good for Rodgers in the sense that I don't know that he's going to be able to go to a situation that's much better, as Courtney pointed out. But if I'm Pittsburgh, I also don't love it. I don't think Rodgers' ceiling is that high anymore. I understand the yards and so forth, but a guy at that age, the career can end at any point, at any play, and that is a real concern. Now, overall, I mean, listen, I'm really excited to see Metcalf and Pickens in the same wide receiver room. Both of them are first-team all crash out, so that's going to be interesting on every level. But
well,
I think this is better deal for Rodgers than it is for the Steelers, absolutely.
Kevin Clark, around the horn to you.
Yeah, DK Metcalf wanted warm weather. He wanted a contender, and he wanted a settled quarterback position. The best I can offer you, they told him, was $30 million, and he said, that's okay with me. $30 million solves a lot of problems. No, for me, I understand why you would change the way you operate for a DK Metcalf. They don't have the quarterback position settled. We'll figure that out in the next couple of days, maybe the next couple of hours. But for me, I just think the Steelers needed to make a move. They needed to do something. They had become a little stale. Maybe this is Mike Tomlin saying, hey, let's go for it. Let's make a move we don't typically do. It's become a little bit Groundhog Day every single year in Pittsburgh. And let's add a guy on the other side from George Pickens. As Clinton said, I do think Mike Tomlin is really good at managing these types of receivers. I think Mike Tomlin should probably get 5 consecutive retroactive Coach of the Year awards for what he's done in the past for it, and I think that he'll do it again.
Justin Sinsay.
Yeah, this just feels like a relationship that has to happen. If Pittsburgh wanted Russell Wilson or Justin Fields to be their starter, they'd be the starter right now. And for Aaron Rodgers, this is it. This is the last call. The lights are coming on at the bar. You're still sitting there. You need to get the stench of the New York Jets off of you, and largely by your own actions. You know, he had career lows in yards per attempt and QBR led. He wants this to be his last chapter. And as Courtney just said, he's going to an offense that's pretty tooled up for him. So I don't think we're going to see MVP level Aaron Rodgers, but I think it's going to be better than what they had.
Kevin Clark back in. I saw that face you made when the Jets stench was invoked by Tinsley. Please.
He smells too. It's not the Jets stench.
That's what I said. I said it was his doing.
Everybody smelled.
That's maybe
Everybody
the motto of this program. We'll move on right now. One more story here. Trade demand? What trade demand? I want to talk about Myles Garrett because he didn't get traded to the Super Bowl contender he wanted to. He's re-signing with Cleveland for $123 million guaranteed. He's this week's highest non-paid quarterback ever. The highest paid quarterback, well, we'll get to Josh Allen in a little bit. Buffalo said, hold my Venmo. But about Cleveland and Myles Garrett, Kevin Clark, what happened here? You told me this was going in a different direction.
I feel stupid. I didn't think this was financial. I thought this was one of the best players in football, if not the best, saying, I want to win a Super Bowl. I want to play in huge games. What I found out after 3 decades plus on this earth over the weekend is that at $40 million, everything is financial, including this. This is the end. And I think that he looked at it and said, hey, I'm under contract until 2027, no guaranteed money left on my deal. The owner wouldn't even meet with me last week. Why not get $40 million for my troubles? Everybody wins in a sense, except the Cleveland Browns from a football standpoint.
From a football standpoint, you mean? So this doesn't get them closer?
Well, no, they're not going to win. They're going to lose a bunch.
Okay, but in
they're
your
not gonna get a quarterback.
estimation, he is the best player in the NFL, any position. You said that last week. They got him.
Yes.
Are they, Justin Tinsley, did the Browns get better today that they didn't have to trade Garrett?
They're pretty much still the same team, man. Look, he's worth every penny of that deal. Don't get it twisted. 102.5 sacks since he entered the league is second to only T.J. Watt. So I applaud him for getting that bag. But you're going to be watching the Super Bowl with me, brother, because the Cleveland Browns, they're not getting to the Super Bowl anytime soon, mainly because they can't figure out the quarterback situation. They've never been able to figure it out. So he got his money, and this is all going to be very interesting because now we're on Micah Parsons' watch. You know he's going to want to be the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. So Garrett is a big domino, but he's not the last.
He might not be the last person then at your Super Bowl watch party then as well, right? Courtney Cronin, around the horn to you.
Yeah, I felt similar to Micah Parsons when he tweeted, yo, what the bleep yesterday after seeing this deal. The floor for him starts at $40 million, so Jerry Jones, don't delay. I don't really know what the Browns are doing here. I understand drawing a line in the sand and trying to remain firm on, honor your contract with us, but they didn't even try to gauge his market. Where is this team going? Where are they going to be in a year? In a year or two, maybe 2 or 3 years. They're going to be in the exact same spot. So throwing a bag of money at a problem right now solves it for right now. That's not going to make Myles Garrett happy when he may have his 15 sacks over the next couple of seasons, considering that's what he's been averaging each year over the last 4 years. But you're not going to get any closer to being a contender. And what he did at Super Bowl Media Week was, in front of any microphone that was placed in front of him, told us that he wants to play for a team that's actually going somewhere. Right now, the Cleveland Browns can't say that about themselves, other than the fact that they just doled out $123.5 million in guarantees.
And Glenn, yes, I have a sense where you're going here as well, but please, after the horn.
Yeah, I don't love this. I mean, it just feels like a guy who was otherwise a nice guy now comes across as disingenuous. And in a town like Cleveland, where people don't even really care about football, they show up anyway when teams lose year after year after year after year. Squandered all of
They care about football
for no real reason.
Who was that little snipe? They care. They show up. And that's a wonderful thing. We have to.
My point is, you don't even have to be good for Browns fans to like you, and Garrett has ruined that, which is the one thing that Cleveland offers well more than any other town in the daggone league.
That is
no need
Clinton
for
Yates Radio.